Who am I supposed to fight?
You will fight him.
Hey everyone, and welcome to What Did I Miss?, where today I'll be breaking down the 5th episode of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, titled Spock Amok. It is hard to believe that we are now halfway through the freshman season of this highly anticipated series, and so far it has yet to produce a bad or even average entry. After a tense and brutal encounter with a deadly alien species, the series shows that it can effectively switch gears and create a fun story while the crew and the audience deflate from the storyline last week. One complaint that newer forms of Star Trek has received is that the stories told do not produce enough. What word am I looking for here? Help me out, Spock.
Hijinks.
Right, hijinks. I don't think any good sci-fi series should take itself too seriously, and it looks like Captain Pike and crew are able to handle a crisis like the Gorn, and are also able to handle a Freaky Friday storyline as well. But before I get into everything I saw, I want to thank you for clicking on this video, and ask that if you do enjoy it, to please hit the like and subscribe buttons. Subscribing is the easiest way to help support my channel, and I can see from my analytics that around 90% of the people who watch my videos are not subscribed. So if you do come back each week, please help me out by hitting that subscribe button so I can keep doing more videos. This episode of Strange New Worlds effectively acts as a prequel to the original series episode Amok Time, in which Spock returns to Vulcan to see that T'Pring no longer wants him as a mate. The reuniting of T'Pring and Spock was also teased in the series premiere of Strange New Worlds when Spock was called away from Vulcan by Captain Pike. I really liked that the writers chose to expand on the history of Spock's marriage into a storyline very early on in the first season, because it not only makes for a good story now, but it also enhances the background of an episode of TV that aired over 50 years ago. And I believe that this was done to show fans of the franchise that this new series will be able to enhance the stories that we think we already know. If you look at the first 5 episodes, each has a completely different tone and genre that it wishes to convey. So it's almost like the producers of Strange New Worlds had the intent of starting the series off with a greatest hits of what the series is capable of. This also makes a lot of sense when you consider that TV critics were given the first 5 episodes of Strange New Worlds to review before the release of the season. In case you're not aware, Strange New Worlds is the highest reviewed entry of any in the Star Trek franchise. The episode begins with Spock on Vulcan participating in the ritual known as Kun'ut Kal Ifi, which translates to marriage or challenge. It is a marriage ceremony in which the female can either accept or refuse her mate, and if their mate is refused, they participate in a fight to the death against a challenger that she selects. We soon learn that this is a dream that Spock is having, but this setting was very faithfully recreated from the first time the audience witnessed the ceremony in the original series episode Amok Time. In that episode, Spock is forced to fight Kirk after T'Pring selects him to be her challenger. The music in this episode of Strange New Worlds is even taken from the fight between Spock and Kirk in said episode. Amok Time was also the first episode in which the Vulcan salute was shown on screen, and early on in this scene, Spock also flashes the familiar gesture. Leonard Nimoy, the man who originated the character Spock, also was responsible for creating many aspects of Vulcan culture, such as the Vulcan salute, which he based on a Hebrew blessing given by Orthodox rabbis. The gesture has become synonymous with the phrase "live long and prosper," which Nimoy did not create, but did say for the first time in the aforementioned original series episode. After Spock awakens to realize he was just dreaming, he dictates a log about the current events. So far this season, each episode of Strange New Worlds has started out with a different officer recording a log, and that officer in turn seems to drive the main plotline of the episode. With the pilot episode beginning with an epilogue by Captain Pike, the next episode beginning with a log from Cadet Uhura, the third episode beginning with a log that was created and then later deleted by Number 1, and the last episode beginning with a log by Lieutenant Noonien Singh. T'Pring makes a comment about Spock's quarters looking very human, even though he does have a few things on his wall, like a Vulcan lute, an instrument he was shown to play many times on the Enterprise, including during the episode Amok Time. I always remember Spock's quarters on the Enterprise to be very Vulcan, so perhaps it was this passive-aggressive shade thrown by T'Pring during this visit that prompts Spock to take a more active role in his surroundings in the future. T'Pring reveals that she also has work to do in the area, and is there to meet with a criminal who's responsible for an uprising on the planet Kepler-22b. This planet has not been referenced on Star Trek before, but is a real planet that was first discovered in 2009 and may be suitable for human colonization, and is also the setting for the sci-fi series Raised by Wolves. Spock is then called away by Captain Pike to help with negotiations with an alien race that the Federation wishes to make their ally. Pike and Spock are shown footage of a member of the alien race speaking with a Tellarite ambassador, although we only get to see the back of the ambassador. The Tellarites are a founding member of the Federation and were first seen in the original series episode Journey to Babel. Within the Star Trek universe, the Tellarites are known for being a very argumentative race, but like the Gorn, who were featured in the last episode, Star Trek fans probably remember Tellarites for their appearance the most, since the alien race has had their look drastically changed more than any other alien species over the course of the franchise, including the Klingons, which may be the reason why we do not see this version of the alien race in this scene. You may have also noticed that Captain Pike broke out the green tunic for this episode instead of the regular gold uniform. This style of uniform was also one that Captain Kirk was shown to be fond of wearing, but what many fans may not know is that on the original series, Captain Kirk never actually wore a gold uniform, it was always green. But due to the two costumes being made with different fabric, one looked green and the other gold when shown on screen. When the series first aired in the 60s, colorized television was still a new technology, and through a combination of studio lighting, velour material, and the film stock, the original green-colored uniforms appeared gold instead on screen. The gold uniforms were later made canon during the Deep Space Nine episode Trials and Tribulations, when the crew from that series travels back in time and Dr. Bashir comments on the uniforms and is corrected by O'Brien and Sisko.
Wait a minute, aren't you two wearing the wrong color?
Don't you know anything about this period in time?
In the old days, operations officers wore red, command officers wore gold.
I don't blame you if you don't remember that conversation, because this happened right after it. As Pike and Spock continue to speak with the alien captain, Dr. Mbenga, Nurse Chapel, and Lieutenant Ortegas get ready for shore leave. While discussing Nurse Chapel's relationship with another officer, Lieutenant Ortegas reminds her of a woman that she was involved with on Argalius II that ended in a phaser fight. This planet debuted in the original series episode Wolf in the Fold, in which Montgomery Scott is possessed by an entity that also possessed Jack the Ripper. Dr. Mbenga is looking forward to fly fishing in the biospheres of Starbase 1, the oldest Federation starbase. This starbase debuted during the Discovery episode The War Without, The War Within, and was almost destroyed by the Klingons. Earlier this season, Starbase 1 was also mentioned by Captain Pike as being built by using seed pods launched from Earth during World War III that grew into forests. La'an and Number 1 see the crew off for shore leave and remain on the ship. Suddenly, an alarm is triggered by an airlock, and they both go there to see two crewmen in environmental suits. One is Lieutenant Christina, who is the current communications officer, a role that we know eventually Cadet Uhura will remain in. The other officer is listed as Ensign Zier, and she is a Bolian. The Bolians are a race that was first seen during the series The Next Generation, and are named after Cliff Bol, the director of the first episode to feature the species, Conspiracy. After Spock angers T'Pring by missing dinner, he gets some advice from Christine Chapel. Another plotline that this series is beginning to build on is Nurse Chapel's infatuation with Spock, which he does not return. Although during the first season of the original series, Nurse Chapel is engaged to another man named Roger Corby, she admits her feelings to Spock in the episode The Naked Time, when the entire crew is infected with a virus that resembles the effects of MDMA. Spock creates a soul-sharing ceremony for him and T'Pring so that they may better understand each other. This involves the transfer of their Katra to the other person and then receiving theirs. This appears to be very similar to the way in which Spock was able to transfer his Katra to McCoy before his death in the movie The Wrath of Khan. However, something goes awry with the ceremony and the consciousness of each person is trapped in the other. Something like this has happened before, once again on the original series, in the episode Turnabout Intruder, in which a woman switches bodies with Captain Kirk and tries to take over the Enterprise. Then, of course, both Spock and T'Pring are called into situations wherein only they can solve them, and they choose to continue on as the other person. Again, this is a silly plotline, but I think it is important that a series show that they do not always have to take themselves so seriously and can have fun with their characters. Honestly, I loved how dark and gritty the last episode of Strange New Worlds was, but I definitely do not want the show to be just that every episode. You don't always have to subvert the audience's expectations and have them on the edge of their seats. You can have some fun too, and this episode more so than any other so far demonstrates that this crew is capable of having a lot of fun. As Chapel is talking to Ortegas, she reveals that she gave Spock some advice, to which Lieutenant Ortegas warns her to be careful, since the last time she got in the middle of a Vulcan relationship, she was sliced with a Lurpa, to which she still has a scar. A Lurpa is a Vulcan weapon used during the aforementioned marriage ritual and first debuted in the same episode Amok Time. Also, during Spock's nightmare, he is forced to fight himself using this same weapon. While T'Pring as Spock is at the negotiations, Spock as T'Pring as Nurse Chapel to accompany him as he is forced to negotiate with a man named Barjan, who is a Vatash Katur, or a Vulcan without logic. This sect of Vulcans was introduced in the Enterprise episode Fusion when the NX-01 Enterprise encountered a ship of Vulcans who were considered the same. But many people consider Sybok, Spock's brother who debuted in the film The Final Frontier, to be this type of Vulcan as well. Barjan is playing three-dimensional chess, which was first seen played on the original series by Spock and has since been seen on every Star Trek series except for Voyager and Prodigy. Eventually, Dr. Mbenga is able to devise a way for Spock and T'Pring to return to their bodies by using a salve as well as cortical stimulators. Technically, the first time a cortical stimulator was shown on screen was during the Next Generation episode The Skin of Evil, but this technology was also shown to be used by the Enterprise crew hundreds of years earlier in the episode Observer Effect. After the procedure, Spock and Nurse Chapel have a conversation in which she asks Spock to call her by her first name, which he does. Something must change between them before now and the original series, because on that series, Nurse Chapel is still trying to get Spock to call her by her first name, to which he refuses to do. On Starbase 1, after it seems that Captain Pike may have ruined the negotiations by being outwardly honest, a trait he is known for, the aliens agree to the alliance by deploying their solar sails with the flag of the Federation. Solar sails are a method of propulsion based on the reflection of photons from a star, and besides being a hypothetical form of space travel, they are also shown during the Deep Space Nine episode Explorers, in which Benjamin Sisko recreates an 800-year-old Bajoran vessel that used the same technology. Spock and T'Pring resolve to continue their relationship, even though it is obvious that they both have misgivings about the future. This whole plotline of Spock being too human really reminded me of the eulogy Spock was given by Kirk in the film The Wrath of Khan.
I have encountered in my travels. His was the most human.
Well, that was everything I saw this week, but let me know in the comments if I missed anything. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please don't forget to smash the like and subscribe buttons if you haven't yet, and I will see you next time on What Did I Miss?